I stand up, I get up, mapelu moya shona kona. Shobuluza focus, come on, be a good getter. Ashona kona, stay focused. Opportunities, you gotta get this, you gotta fight this deal.
Githi woda githi zimbiri sihamba sibathu igama mekumele lishumo ngiphethe career coach yethu usisipula ngithi sokupelepele ungasibambisana. And if you think there's a better show than this, githi unamangasana. Hayi ke ngokukhulu ukuzithoba athi ngibulisa abantu basemakhaya githi sanibonani and a salute to all my hustlers bafethu. iSpani bafethu kule season we are going green bafethu joba sithi silihlaza sibheka ama career ke ahambiselana nokunakekela imvelo bafethu. Uyazi bathini bathi chalk is cheap, so put your work where your mouth is. Njengoba ke Hustler lethu uNokathula Dubazane intokazi ke eyi-social ecologist bafethu onothando for abantu ngisho naye imvelo. So silungiselele njengoba siye sokubhava ngolwazi hlale ngintshela ngithi you need this show like you need water. Name Nokathula Dubazane, age 26, education matric. Tertiary qualification, Bachelor of Social Science Honours Degree and Master of Science in Geography. Position applied for Wetland Social Ecologist.
Mina ngazalele showe. Ngifunde ekoleni eningi yabo. Ngoba ekhaya umama wayesebenza eScott, ubaba esebenza eMnambithi. So ngaqale ngafunda la eMthwilini eNottingham Road e-primary school yabona grade 1 no grade 2 ngihlala nama-cousin kamalum. Saphinde ngasuka ngayohlala nomamkhulu eBergville, so ngafunda lapho futhi from 1 standard 2. Ngase ngasuka emva kwaloko ekhaya bathola bathenga umuzi, baqala bathola indawo endaweni ekuthiwa iSentchethe seduze kwaseMnambithi. Sahlala lapho ke unyaka owodwa ngase ngasasuka bathenga umuzi la sahlala khona ke elokishini ekuthiwa iSezakheni. Safunda e-primary school eyalapho ke ekuthiwa iGood Hope. Ngaqeda lapho kwayima ngidlulele e-high school la ngiqede khona izifundo zami eQophindlela. So ngikhulele kakhulukazi mina eZakheni ekhaya ngihlala kakhulukazi nomalo nobaba. Nosesibami kunosesaba ababili umunye futhi omncane olandela mina, so nje ngikhule ekhaya nomalo nobaba.
Beleyo ngane ukuthi naye bekade buya umlande ngabe seganga mhlambe esedlala emgaqweni esekhohliwe ukuthi kambe nala endlini izitshathi ushile akakazigisi. Mhlambe esiyaqala nje ukufunda esemncane besithanda isikole bemthanda umphushe ngoba ingane ziyaphusha umuntu esikoleni misencane kakhulu. Bengimenzela ukuthi ahambe esikolweni ahambe ke esikolweni maybe esikoleni bumtshela ukupholisha icathula mangabe engazipholishile icathula ufika engazipholishile icathula kumele wena mzali umthethise ukuthi upholisha icathula. Ufika akakwenzile ngabe ngishaya ingane ukuthi cha awukwenzile ingane ukuthi umshayeka mayekubona ukuthi uyaqhamuka uzogijima ayokwenza lento akasaze uyenza kahle.
Khona ngishaya mina uyazi ukuthi mawuthi ke uma usenza into wrong or mina bengingane le bengingagangi phese kodwa bengivuka ekseni mina ngenza yonke into phambi kwe-TV. Ngangithi mina mangithi kumele ngiye esikoleni because angifunde lokishini mangimele ngilungele ukuya esikoleni ngangibudget isikhathi sami ukuthi ngigeze ngigqoke la phambi kwe-TV yonke into ngenza la phambi kwe-TV ngoba ngifuna ukubuka i-TV whilst ngenza lokho. Mangibuya esikoleni futhi so yonke into kumele ngiyenze endlini angiyenza. Ngifike late esikoleni mangibuya esikoleni futhi ileyo drill ngibuka i-TV ngiyodlala and ngiyazi ukuthi umali ubuye emsebenzini ngo-4 or ngo-4:30. So ngaleso sikhathi sengiyazi ukuthi lo 30 minutes fanele ngiqale ngipheke, fanele ngiqale ngiclean, fanele ngiqale ngilungise konke izinto umade ethengizenza. So gaga kwami kwakuyiloko ke mina ngingane ehlala esikradini ngithanda ukudlala nabangani bami. And that time uhlala emgwaqeni nje ngidlala uMasgalope nabangani and it was quite cool. I've always been umuntu abantu mina ngihlale ngikhulumela nabantu, ngihlale ngidlalela nabanye abantu. Nasesikoleni futhi angifike esikoleni ngangaziwa ngangiyile ingane ekhulumayo makushaya abakhulumayo eklasini ngiyazi ukuthi ke ngingaphambili.
uNokuthula into engiyazi kahle ngayo behlakaniphile beyimisela esikoleni izinto zakhe nje zesikole wena sekufika ezintweni zakhe zesikole ubezenza ngayo yonke indlela and ngaso sonke esikoleni bebehlezi bemncoma bethi nje uhlakaniphile njengomntwana ofunde ezikoleni eziningi bekungamfanele ukuhlakanipha ayibona leyo nto ngoba uma uphuma kulesi sikole uyofunda futhi enye into yakulesa sikole phinde uphume kulesi sikole uyofunda enye into yakulesa sikole but yena ubekwazi ukufika angene esikoleni enze exactly into efuneka esikoleni
ngafundela ukushini so izinto eziningi kwakungazi ngazo kangekho ukuthi khona umuntu wafika esikoleni wasichazela ukuthi khona ama-careers kanje kangazi mina iphupho lami ngangazi ngiyofunda e-university so from matric actually from earlier ngangithi nje ngiye-university mina iphupho lami kwakuyi-university ukuthi ngiyofunda at some point ngangifuna ukwenza i-chemical engineering ngoba nje i-university kwakuyinto engifuna ukuyenza and then ngangelela omunye umncintiswane mina ephepheni engangiwubonile kuthiwa angazi yenza i-project ehlangane ne-environment ngahlanganisa i-poster ngayisenda yabo uma usendela i-essay iqala utsho ukuthi hhayi anginendaba yahamba next thing sekuthiwa okay ukhethiwe kwabantu akumele bezopresent fanele uhlanganise i-poster ngayihlanganisa i-poster futhi nalapho uhlanganisa izinto ozwe eklasini yabo hhayi nokuthi-ke uhlanganisa into e-research kangako or uthole isizo kuthisha kangako ngakuhlanganisa next thing sekuthiwa okay so represent i-province I'm like oh okay sasuka le Maritzburg kwase kwayiwa I think kwakuyi-Pretoria la kwakukhona khona amalona sekushaya ama-nationals saqeda lapho saya eKimberley so I mean uma lo wayithuke kabi ngoba ngangiqala ukugibela ibhanoyi ngifunda standard 9 ngizogibela ibhanoyi nami angazi ukuthi ibhanoyi yini you know awuyazi ukuthi ujabulela ukuthi uyokwenza lento but then ukusogibela ibhanoyi
wahamba nebhanoyi ayi angikhululekanga kahle angikhululekanga ngihambile nebhanoyi ngangithi ngithi ngiyafona ngithi athi ngabusafona ngasikhathi esithile kodwa mina ngangakwazi ngangikhuleka ebusuku ngithandaza ngithi inkosi yami ngilibona ibhanoyi ongathi seliphahlazeke emanzini selikwenzeke nebhanoyini ngithi sengibuya masebuya ngiyambuza Nokuthula hamba kanjani athi mabe ngithuke ngendlela ongakazi uyibona kodwa ngihambe kahle kodwa thina besijabulela ukuthi mesebuyile abise impendulo enhle
so from Leo experience ngagcina sengibuya sengiwinile ngathi okay ngabuya nasesikoleni siwaziwa ngale ngane lenza izinto ekanjeni ngajoin i-Enviro Club so izinto zaqala sesingicurve into i-career ka-environment vele or ka-biodiversity so I think it was more divine calling.
No place to go where this pavement will lead, I don't know.
So uNox uyi-socialite with the social conscious bafethu thina-ke sifuna ukwazi ukuthi kahle kahle oluphi ulwazi angalifaka kule nkampani ababiza ngokuthi i-Ground Truth bafethu inkampani-ke eyi-NGO-ke especialize laphana ku-water resources management and environmental issues i-true isilungu leso akusimina.
Morning, Knox. Thank you very much for coming in this morning to the interview. This is Mark Graham and Annalile from Ground Truth, and we met earlier on the phone. It's Vaughan Kripman. I manage this office and the work program for WWF. We're just going to kick off with a few questions and get to know you a little bit better, and if you want to ask anything further, just feel free to do so.
Okay.
So, Knox, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, as you already know, my name is Nokathula Dubazane. I'm from Ladysmith. I grew up in a small township called Ezakeni. My interest for the environment actually started when I was in high school, when I entered competitions around environmental stuff and environmental awareness. And that's when I actually felt that love for nature. So the interesting part about this role for me, because I come from what I consider to be a transdisciplinary qualification with a bit of social science and a bit of technical science stuff. So your human geography, but also your more physical geography in other retrospects. So this role was quite interesting for me because it was involved the social part, but also the ecological part. And my biggest interest are people, and I love working with people around environmental issues, around nature resources. So that's why I applied for this role, because it will bring in not just the technical elements of my qualification, but also my passion for people and working with people around these things.
So Nox, tell us why you think you are well placed to take this position.
I consider myself quite well placed and at an advantage compared to other candidates, because I've been part of the Green Matter Fellowship, which is not just financial support, but it's also been a professional development phase where I've just gotten a lot of professional planning and a lot of skills. So that plus the experience that I bring in really makes me feel like I'm a better suited candidate for this role.
Well, that's a very good background, because certainly the particular project we're looking at, there are a number of projects that we're going to be involved in, and you might be wondering why it is that there are the two groups here. We've got WWF represented by Vaughan on the one hand, and Ground Truth represented by ourselves on the other hand. One of the projects, there's a number of tasks that we're going to be wanting to cover in this particular assignment, and if you were successful. And maybe Vaughan could start us off on a couple of the tasks, and then I'll lead into some of the more technical tasks that we're interested in your applying for.
Okay, so what we had in mind, just to expose you to the range, of work that you would be doing. There's three tasks altogether. The first two are within the agricultural landscape, agricultural setting, going out and identifying the wetland boundaries in that landscape, talking to people as to why they use that wetland, understand from the perspectives of the plantation timber company their use of the landscape and the issues that they deal with, at the same time talking to the communities that also use those wetlands and understanding their perspectives.
One of the other tasks we're looking to undertaking Nox today would be, I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but down in the Edendale Valley there's a wetland there next to a shopping centre, and that's proven to be very challenging. There are lots of community issues there with regard to developing this wetland, and at the same time concern about the environmental issues, because there's the actual development that they're planning there is this shopping centre, and we're wanting to get a better understanding of the community issues in relation to the wetland and the shopping centre, and understand that process a bit more.
Yeah, so njengoba eseshilo kuMark noVon ukuthi uzosebenza kakhulu nabantu mhlawumbe asemaphandleni, abantu abahlala emalokishini, uyakwazi ukukhuluma isiZulu kahle noma?
Yebo, ngisikhuluma kahle isiZulu, ngenza isiZulu as a first language ngisasesikoleni.
So uzokwazi ukuthi ukhulume ngenhlonipho nabantu abadala?
Yebo, ngizokwazi ukwenza lokho ngoba sengike ngasebenza ngaphambi kokuthi ngangasebenzela enye iprogram eyahlangana ne-environmental education eyayisebenzisana kanye nekole, yaphinda sebenzisana kanye nabothisha, aphinda isebenzisana nabanye abantu futhi bangaphandle. So ukusebenza kwami lapho kunginikezele and kungangifundisa futhi ukuthi okokuqala ukuhlonipha abantu abadala, nokuthi mase kumele udlulise umlayezo kubantu abangaqondi njenganathi, ukuthi udlulisa kanjani, futhi ukuthi ubalalele nabo ukuthi izikhalazo or inkinga ababhekana nazo yiziphi.
So Nox, after you've gone into the field and you've been exposed to some of the technical aspects, some of the social side of what the work will involve, you'll come back to the office and then we'll hear from you how that experience went, how you felt, and we'll get some feedback from the people that you engaged with, Ndumisa and Brad, and be able to give you some idea of what we think in terms of how suitable you'll be for the position.
Wow,
Wow, ke rata tsela e Nox a highlightileng bokgoni, botsebi, kgatlhego le lerato le ana le lona for mosebetsi. Most of all my hustlers o di entse kaofela dilo tsena a bontsha botho. Wa bona humility ke ntho e tla go thusa gore o kgone go balansa go itshepa ga hao le bokgoni ba hao. Go ka ba challenging go seetsa selo seo empa o ka ithuta. Sheba tsela e o sebedisang mantswe a hao ka teng. Je ka gore o fumane monyetla wa go ithutela degree e tjena. Wa pheta wa fumana monyetla wa go sebetsa lefelong le tjena. Ho go betere go na le gore wena o ithutetse ntho e tjena wa sebetsa lefelong le tjena. Hopola gore o na le CV ya gago go di atisa kaofela dilo tseo. Body language ya hao. Ha o buisana le mohiri wa hao, bula matsogo, dulela pele, o mo shebe ka mahlong. Ho go betere go na le o dulela morago wa phutha matsogo. Ha ile Nox yena, monyetla o ilatetse ona. Ha a o fiwa. Le wena my hustler, bula mahlo, bula kelello ya hao. Tsola ka ntle mane, o ilo fumana wa hao monyetla. Ka mora papatso, re lo fumana gore a na wetlands ke eng, ene hape e bohlokwa yang maphelong a rona.
You will meet me at the river. Njoba ke silibhekise laphana e-Wetlands bafethu sihamba ne-KZN hustler yethu uNokathula Dubazane. Intokazi ke siqedile imfundo zayo yatholela i-degree laphana ku-social sciences. Bese lapha ethi tsaka yafaka i-masters khona laphana ku-geography. Khona ke sizibeke ethubeni elikahle ukuthi iyosebenza laphana e-Wetlands njenge-social ecologist. Incede umphakathi wangakubo. Kodwa thina sifuna ukwazi ukuthi yini kahle kahle i-Wetlands nokuthi kungani kumele siyigcine. Hayi mani, ubani ochitha amanzi athi ngithole isikorobo ngiyabuya.
Ematete nguyinye yetinto temvelo letibalulekile emhlabeni futhi letivumela tinhlobonhlobo tetilwane kanye netihlahla. Leti tinhlobonhlobo ke futhi diphose tilingane noma kumbe tibe ngetulu kwaleti letitfolakala emahlathini lamakhulu. Lawa matete asebenza njengetibhonje. Lapho khona kuthi makuta timvula letimatima akhone kumunya lawo mandi kude kuvikeleke tikhukhula. Avikela netindzawo letingaselwandle kuthi tingakhukhuleki phindze asite nemimango kuniketa inhlabathi labangahle badzinge kuyisebenzisa. Ematete ke futhi abuye asebende njengendlela yekwelapha emanti, tihlahla, ende naleminye imisebenzi lehambisana nawo kuhlandeka kwemanti. Ema-nitrates kanye naleminye imithi lenjengabo manyolo igezeka etindzaweni letingasemadolobheni kanye nalapho kulinywa khona. Kunetinfo ke letitfolakala khona emateteni letimunya imithi lengahle ibe nebungoti. Imithi ke lengakamunyeki yona iya ngaphansi lapho khona ingcwabeka khona kanye naletiye tinhlobo temhlabathi. Noma nje kuke kwabukeka njengendzawo lemoshekile. Eminyakeni lelikhulu endlulile, bantfu bebaloko badvonsa emanti kulawo matete bawasebenzise ekwakheni tindlu, emadolobha, imigwaco kanye nemaplazi. Labanye ke bososayensi bebabe nokubuka ukuthi umhlaba uluze ingcenye yematete langabalelwa kuma-percent langu-50 kusukela ngetikhasi tema-1900s. Kanti ke futhi nalawo matete lasasele kwanyalo nawo angaba sengotini. Ngenhlanhla ke bantfu sebabubona bomcoka bematete etindzaweni lesiphila kito futhi kanye nalamanye emave nawo asashaye umthetho wokuvikeleka kwematete futhi baphindze basebente kamedima nekuvikela incumbi yawo.
Ka godimo ga lerato la tsa natural science o lokela go contributor utlwisisong ya setšhaba ba lokela go utlwisisa dilo kaofela tse di amanang le tlhago go tloga moo o lokela go bana le bokgoni le botsebi ba gore tlhago eo o e boloka yang o itshireletsa yang for rona kaofela o tlo tlhoka gore o bane le senior certificate gore o etse degree ya gago yona he e ka go nka 3 to 4 years go latele honors degree e ka go nkang 1 to 2 years ka godimo ga moo o ka etsa masters degree ya gago le yona e ka go nka 1 to 2 years.
So Hustlers uNox uyakwazi udlala ngeringers laphana njengoba kade azikhulumela ku-interview yakhe kodwa thina sifuna ukwazi ukuthi uyakwazi ku-interview abanye abantu njengoba ngithi zashintsha izinto.
Hi, my name is Brad Graves and I'm a wetland ecologist. Just by way of background, I've been in the game for about 8 years now, and the reason I started doing wetland ecology was because I'm passionate about the environment. I'm also noticed that there's a big need for people to be educated on water resources and you know, essentially creating a future whereby we are able to be a bit better equipped to handle with these sort of situations. So my job is essentially to create awareness. Hi Nox, my name's Brad.
Nice to meet you, Brad.
Welcome here. This is Lionel. He's one of my colleagues.
Nice to meet you.
First of all, welcome to this wetland that you see behind us here. This is the Edendale wetland that we have rehabilitated in order to improve its functioning. Okay. Now, I'm a wetland specialist, and basically what we as specialists do is we assess the condition of wetlands, and part of that process is we use a couple of different techniques, such as the one that I have in my hand here, which is called wetland ecoservices. Okay. Now if we turn to page 18 of this, there's a whole list of the different ecosystem services that are provided by wetlands. Okay. So I, as a specialist, am able to quantify, you know, how much of each of these different services there are. So if we look at them here, there's direct benefits, indirect benefits, and basically all these things are essentially they enhance the landscape. Okay, so if we look here, wetlands are used for flood attenuation, for example. That's like an indirect benefit. And then some of the direct benefits are biodiversity, use of water for human use, they harvestable resources, and there's also some cultural benefits such as cultural heritage, tourism, and education as well. Okay, so that's kind of a story about what I do as a wetland specialist. Now I know you more into the social side of things, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
So what I need you to do, your task, okay, is you're going to take, I'll give you this page that you can use as a reference, okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to go and speak to people as they're walking by in this, at this mall here, to find out if what they say about this wetland kind of talks to what we're talking about here in terms of the services. How do they perceive this wetland? Do they see it as being valuable? What do they see it as doing? That sort of stuff.
Just random people.
You can speak to anybody you'd like to speak to, and I'd say maybe 4 or 5 people should do the job.
Okay, just to make sure I get it correctly. So the task is just to find out from people what services those wetlands actually providing for them.
Yes.
In comparison to this, in essence.
Absolutely.
That's perfect.
Before you go off and do this task, we brought Lionel along here for a good reason. He's got a very solid background of this project, this wetland, and what's been going on at this site. And he's also from this area too. So what he'll be able to do is he'll be able to observe you and your interactions with the people, and perhaps help them understand, you know, what the wetland is, and provide a bit more background in your conversations. So yeah, you guys are going to go off as a team and work together on this, and we'll see what you come up with.
Ubhuti uhlala khona le ndaweni?
Ya kwakhona le mbali e-3 invest.
E-3 lapha phezulu?
Yebo.
Oh, bhuti sithanda nje sihambe sibuze la, yabona le qaphoze lana? Kwakuyini ngaphambi kokuthi kube bekunjani?
Ya kwakuyixhaphozi mfethu yabo but manje sekungcono ukuqala kwakuwese mfethu yabo.
Kwakunjani ngcono kanjani manje?
Hey ngeke mfethu yabo njengoba sekushisiwe nje sokukanjena mfethu sisokwazi nokubona ukuthi iskipanda yabo liqala mfethu simawubheka mfethu ubona mhlambe khona inyoka or mhlambe khona inyamazane koleni kwakuyihlathi kusabisa futhi. Ya into kanjani.
Ngokubona kwakho libalekile alibalekile kunjani?
Hey ngeke mfethu alibalekile mase lizoba likhulu ngcono mase bezoshaya beclean libe nje i-rice manje yabo. Mhlambe balikhiphe bafake ezinye izinto ezokwazi sesizomphakathi mfethu la ngcono.
Siyabonga bhuti uthi bayigama?
Inhlakanipho ufune.
Ngibona ukuthula bhuti ngiyabonga kakhulu. Yebo. Bhuti sami sibuza ngale qaphozi leli. Lalinjani ngaphambi ukuthi khona umehluko osukhona?
Ya mkhulu. Belusikhoze kakhulu iqaphozi ngcono manje.
Sondela nawe sondela sana. Linjani namagameni?
Ulanga umanqoba kwesi.
Ukhwezi. Okay, nihlala khona le ndaweni?
Yebo.
Niyawazi amaqaphozi?
Yebo, sawazi.
Yini qaphozi?
Iqaphozi lamanzi lawa angcolile.
Angcolile? Indawo enjani ivamise ukuba namanzi, indawo evamise ukuba namanzi anjani amnyama?
Na brown.
Na brown. Lokho kuyini kanti kuyilona noma?
Iqaphozi.
Abaluleke kanjani?
Amanzi.
Amaqaphozi.
Awabalulekile ngoba aya-affect emzimbeni abanga izifo. Abalulekile ngoba umuntu mayethi uyaphuza uzogula kakhulu.
Awabalulekile umniyani. Ayenzani umniyani?
Wenza lesi sifo lesamiyane ubani konje.
Malaria.
Malaria.
Yona inhle nje makuluhlaza nje kahle. Kodwa mase ikhule kakhulu sekube kusabeke yabona.
Yini indaba kusabeke?
Ukuthi mhlambe igebengu kanjani yabona.
Oh, akuhambeni kwethu into esitholile namhlanje ukuthi abantu abaningi bacabanga ukuthi le ushintsho lelo lenzekalile with rehabilitation ukuthi libe right mabeqhathanise kudala namanje abaningi bathe indlela elibukeka ngayo le wetland i-right. Kodwa mase ubabuza ngokuthi ukuthi ngeqhaphozi ukubaleka kweqhaphozi abantu abaningi babona amanzi nokuthi ngenxa yokuthi le ndawo ivamise ukuba amanzi bayibona ungazuthi ayibalekile kangako ngoba iletha umniyane. Abanye bathi kodwa ingcono nakudala ngoba kudala kukhona utshali obude and utshani obude bakwenza ukuthi igebengu beyathusa ngoba ucabanga ukuthi khona iy'nyoka futhi igebengu zicasha khona.
Sicela nje izinto zokuthatheni iy'ngane laphaya.
Njengomuntu osebenza with i-biodiversity onesebenza kule sector, mawuzwa abantu bekhuluma kanjena kwenza ukuthi u-understand ukuthi umsebenzi wethu ubaluleke kanjani ngaphandle kokuthi wazise abantu ngokubaleka kwezinto ezikanjena nokubaleka kwama-resources, but kwenza ukuthi ubone ukuthi kenake sisekude even nale part yokuthi sifundise abantu isekude kakhulu.
So we-interview ade unokusebenza la nabantu. It doesn't seem like bakhona i-background or mhlawumbe into abayaziyo about ama-wetlands nomsebenzi yawo. All they see ukuthi mhlawumbe abalethele izifo or ubuphi izinto ey'bhedayo nje abayikhulumayo abanakho ukuthi iyakwazi mhlawumbe ukupurify amanzi uclean amanzi for i-stream lesi sila.
Mona he re bona Nox a lokela go tlosisa maikutlo a setšhaba gore a kgone go etsa mosebetsi wa hae. Again ma-hustlers botho le lerato la mosebetsi di a iponahatsa. Tsohle kaofela tse Nox a qetang go di etsa re bona boyena ba hae ba mosebetsi hae haholo dithuto tsa hae. Ma-hustler le wena hae ka ba o batla go ithuta go sebedisana le batho lefapheng le o leng ko lona sa pele o lokela go approacha batho ka hlompho le ka boikokobetso. Ha o sebedisana le batho kapa o buisana le batho buisana le bona maemong a batho bao ba leng ko ona. Batla go tseba gore ana ke eng dilo tse botlhokwa tse tswang mo go bathong bao. Tseo kaofela di tla thusa wena gore o kgone go sebedisana le batho o phete o etse mosebetsi wa hao bonolo.
Hustlers ngithi se-KZN hustler lethu ke uNokuthula Dubazane intokazi ke enogqozi nofucufucu for ezemvelo njengoba ke alaphana eground truth bafethu abhalisele isikhundla sokuba i-wetland social ecologist bafethu le ntokazi ke ihlanganisa ezomnotho ngisho nazo ezescience ezabantu ngisho nazo ezemvelo bafethu kodwa manje khona into engishisayo la. Voila! Yeah, it is that time for the iSpani Q bafethu. Uyazi mele wenzeni uthi #iSpani with the capital Q bese ke uyalaphana ku Twitter yethu ku @iSpani on SABC1 ke bese usithumela wakho umchafazo. Umbuzo wethu wakule viki ke uhamba kanje bafethu. What is black when you get it, red when you use it and white when its work is done? What is black when you get it, red when you use it and white when its work is done? Ngithi ke mawazi impendulo yini? Thumela umchafazo. Ngithi sheshisa ngaphambi usebona intokazi evutha amalangabe eshisayo. Yenza isithasi yakhe esibili bafethu asimbone.
Hi Nox.
Hi.
Glad you could join us out here at Holmesdale. We're going to be doing some delineation work where we are going to determine where or how far the plantation needs to be moved back so it doesn't have an effect on our water system and the catchment that leads into Lake Merthley. So it's a very simple exercise, it's very straightforward. We use this tool called an auger. We start down at the lowest point, closest to where we can see the water from. And generally, if you look at the grass, it can give you already a very good clue as to where we can start. You see the various sedges, and then it goes into different grasses. One of the things that we're trying to do in this particular area here at Holmesdale, or we are applying for a stewardship to preserve the wetland here. We found some very rare species of frogs and snakes and various other mammals that are unique to Holmesdale, to Lake Merthley. It's very important that we keep these areas open so that they can breed and develop in this area. But it's more important that we do this delineation, that we stay away from the water source, and that we have a little impact as possible on the water in the area. As you know, water is a diminishing resource in South Africa, and it's something that we need to preserve.
Interesting.
Yeah. Nox, I'd like to hand you over to Domiso, who will give you more information as to what we're going to be doing and how are you going to assist him.
Okay.
Okay.
Igama lami nguNdumiso Ngwakasithole. Ngisebenzela uWWF World Wildlife Fund. Iposition yami ngu-Catchment Stewardship Officer. Ngisebenza mostly in the sugar sector. Sisuka from the Midlands South, sihamba all the way sesifika ngase-Transkop, which is the Midlands North. Esikoleni ngenza environmental management. Ngiqhamba khona le-Great Sun. So i-sector ye-environment ngesikhathi ngikhula because ngumuntu wasemakhaya ngikhule engaging, ngihlala nazo indawo efana namaqaphozi, ngingakwazi okunye ukubaluleka kwawo. Ngithe sengikhula ngabona ukubaluleka kwawo, ngabona ukuthi kwakumkhakha o-right ukuthi ngiye kuwona because umkhakha onikelayo back to abantu, njengoba ukholegi wami kade eshilo ukuthi la manzi emva asuka la ashone ezansi aphakela abantu. Esizokwenza sohamba siye lapha eXhaphozini, sizofike sisebenzise yona i-soil auger. Into esizokwenza ngayo usomba phansi emhlabathini, sizama ukubona ukuthi ngoba ukubona eXhaphozini ukuthi iXhaphozi lihamba indawo enganani, kumele ubone ngomhlabathi. Ubona uqala ubone ngotshani njengoba eseshilo ukholegi wami. Then emva lokho kumbe sobona ngomhlabathi, uzofike umbe ubone umhlabathi ukuthi uhamba usuka from eXhaphozini uya ngasehlahleni, uzobona ukuthi ushintsha kanjani umhlabathi, and lokho ikona okuzokwenza ukuthi ubone ukuthi iXhaphozini lisuka lapha liphele lapha. So nokuthula i-auger uzofike uyifake, iphendule up until mawusuwanisekile ukuthi iyangena emhlabathini, bese uyayikhipha. Musu uyikhiphile ke uzosebenza kanjalo ukubuka ukuthi umhlabathi unjani kumele ungcoleke manje uzobuka umhlabathi kumele unotice umhlabathi uhlobo lwawo njengamanje la sikhona ukuthi umhlabathi unjani ubumanta bawo and then bese uyaqhubeka ke ulokhunje
njengoba lo ngasothi unobumba nje
ya njengoba lo ubumba umnyama ubonakala futhi ukuthi umanzi uzobona ke lokhunje unyuka ushona phezulu ngizophinda ngikhombise futhi ukuthi wenziwa kanjani then lezi ezinye ezimbili usuzozenzela wena
okay
uma usuwanelisekile ukuthi ushone phansi ngokwanele uyayibuyisa uyawubuka umhlabathi bese uyabona lokho okunotisayo ke from umhlabathi kulezi ezinye ezimbili ila usuzobona khona ukuthi kuhluka kanjani kushintsha kanjani
okay shona ngala nanka iyajinyela ne
Okay, guys, I see you guys are back now. I see your hands are nice and dirty. Yeah. So, Nox, what did you find?
It was quite interesting trying to figure out how to use the auger and trying to dig deeper when the soil was no longer that wet. Okay. But when we started the first hole that we dug that Dumisa did to demonstrate, the soil was more clay and quite wet. Yeah. And then as we moved out, the second one was still quite clay and dark, very, very dark. But then it was like slightly less wet as the other one was. Right. And the first one, when you're digging, it made a sound, so you could hear that there's a lot of water. And then the second one was still dark, but then less wet, and it still felt a bit felt like clay in a sense. Okay. And then the third one, the texture was starting to change because we couldn't necessarily see quite clearly the difference between the soil in terms of the color, but you could see it was fading. And then the last one that we did, it was not wet at all, and the soil, when you compared it to the first two, it was starting to get a bit lighter, so lighter, going into the lighter brown. Yes. So yeah, so inside was wet, and then as you went out, it started getting dry, and especially in the last part, and the texture of the soil was quite different.
When we originally did our the evaluation, we came up with exactly the same results, and hence the reason why we plant our trees away from that watershed, so that once again, just to preserve them, make sure that the water is getting down into our wetlands. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Githi asaqedi finish bafethu sabona ke itask yamanqamu samba ke nomuntu ke officer okuba i-wetland social ecologist uNokathula Dubazane into bazithatha uthando lwakhe le-science labantu ngisho naye ecology wayibhanqa zonke into kube manje ke ihambile lapha nathola ama-task amabini nokuthi abone ukuthi abantu abalaphana ke bayisebenzisa kanjani i-wetlands nibelima bafethu kodwa manje sekumele asebenzise ulwazi lakhe le-science alifake kule task elandelayo. You know what that means. I need to remind you of our SABC cue for this week. Sithe, what is black when you get it, red when you use it, and white when its work is done? I'm done. Found this.
Okay, so Nox, namhlanje ufundeni yini oyibonile?
Siqale eDindeli nabo Brad no Lionel from Ground Truth, and then besiyobona Suppose got the with different setting because it's in the boy it's by Edendale Mall. So suppose the son of rehabilitator and says function kahle. Into esiphinde sayenza lapho ukuthi saqasa khuluma nomphakathi because qale bangichazela ukuthi kwenzakalani la linjani bangifundisa nokuthi bathesta kanjani amanzi khona basebenzisa turbidity test ukumonitor ukuthi kenake leli qhaphozi liyasiza yini eclean amanzi. Baqeda lapho sasesabuza abantu adisibabona lapho ukuthi bona babona ukuthi le qhaphozi selisizile li right linjani and lokho beku interesting ngoba abanye abantu abaningi bayathanda ukuthi ke uhlaza kuhle indawo enhle yabo kodwa kuthanda ukufisa bayathanda indawo ngoba kudala kuthiwa kunehosha esikhulu kodwa bathi ke nake iqhaphoza ngoba liza nemlethi imniyane Mangicabanga from incwadi uBrent aqala wangikhombisa kuyona ngikhombisa la ama ecosystem services that this wetland would be providing. Abantu abaningi mawubabuza ngezinto ezikanjalo abantu abaningi abazange babale ngisho ukubala okunye ade kulapha into ayiqhamukile nje ukuthi kena ke into ebe important was ukuthi ibukeka kahle, so that would be the aesthetic parts of things. So kukwenza ukuthi urealize ukuthi the value, how people see the resource. Ayikho, people don't see it as a resource. Ukuqala leli xhaphoza balibona njenge resource. Balibona ngendlela indawo eyomile, I mean open, and also bayibona as a space that just has water. They don't see it as a resource. Okukwenza ukuthi ke as a person working in biodiversity and as a wetland social ecological specialist, uzibuza ukuthi ke then uzobaqhuquzela kanjani ukuthi ke ba protect into abangayiboni ibalekile. So kusho ukuthi masisebenza kugenza ukuthi sidinga ukuthi siqale sibele emuva akusenza ukuthi abantu ba-understand ukubaluleka kwendawo ekanjena ngaphandle ukuthi sinotshani nokuphandle ukuthi sihlaza kuyimask ukuthi sigqugquzele ukuthi ke nake bagcine sibaluleka kanje. Kwesinye isikhathi in future ungabisadinga ukuthi kube khona i-fence abantu bakwazi uku-enjoy bakwazi kodwa ukuthi balokhu ba-protect on their own without being motivated and without these areas being fenced.
If I could see you when you walk, I could hear you when you talk. I'm still listening.
Hustlers, uNox ngathi uyinhlanzi emanzini bafethu. Njengobona izinto zasiflowela nje kuphela. Intokazi isekhaya njengoba ke afuna ukuba uCaptain Planet. Speaking about the planet, awuthi ke ngizireduce, ngizireuse, ngizirecycle. Nginiphinde ke ngombuzo wethu okule viki lapha nokuSpani Q bafethu ohamba kanje. What is black when you get it, red when you use it, and white when its work is done? Drum rolls please. And the answer is charcoal bafethu. Amalahle amnyama ke uma usuwagubha bese ababovu uma usuwasebenzisa aphinde futhi abe mhlophe ke uma usuqedile ngawo njoba ke asawuthuli noma umlotha ongasebenzisa ukuthi wenze ezinye izinto ngaye. Yayibona leyo nto leyo si clever la ekhaya, si clever sifana naye ke uNokathula bafethu asithemba ukuthi emva kwekhefu uzotholela umsebenzi lapha njenge social ecologist bafethu. Yabona mangothola lo msebenzi ngiyomshaya ibray sohlwihliza kodwa manje asithi tshwe sinyamalale siyabaleka.
So Nox, how did your day in the field go?
It went really well. It was quite nice to see the different landscapes. I think it was quite a contrast from the urban township setting to the more like agricultural setting. So it was quite interesting, and it's definitely a different scope, and I really enjoyed it interacting with the community members, and then the mentor that I had there. Like I learned quite a lot from them from this whole experience. So it was like really good for me.
We've had some really positive feedback today from the mentors in the field, and they've certainly we're very happy with how you handled yourself. Obviously, some of the more technical things, I think, that's just one of the things about a job like this, is that as you start, you think you know lots. You've had a really good background at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, I see here. And but there's something about practically getting involved in work that, there's nothing to substitute for good experience. So I think some of those elements will come, and so maybe you weren't so sure about some of the things in the field. That's fine. what we'll find, and you will find, is that as your career progresses, you'll pick up these things. So I wouldn't worry too much about some of those things that were out in the field today, but certainly your aptitudes there, your interests there, and that's really important, is that you continue to have that inquiring mind, asking questions as you were in the field, and that's the way you're going to learn.
So Nox, based on that, the feedback we've had is positive, like Mark said. We would very much like to offer you the position. What are your current commitments at the moment in terms of being able to start?
I'm available to start immediately. I don't have major commitments right now, so I'm available to start as soon as you guys are ready.
Well, that's great. That's great. You know, the sooner we can get going on this project, the better. It's a really exciting project, and we're looking forward to a long association and an opportunity to learn from each other. You know.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome on board.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to having you with us.
Me too. I'm looking forward to learning from you both.
Great.
Okay, perfect. Ukuhambe kahle konke namhlanje. Ngiyathokoza ukuthi kena kuhambe kahle konke, and excited ukuthi ngiqale, and ngiyazi nje ukuthi kena konke kuzohamba kahle. I'm looking forward to starting my new job, and yeah, it's been a long day. Kodwa ngiyabonga ukuthi konke kulungile ekugcineni. Okay, makunjalo ngisithi kuwena press up, push up, panda.
Yeah man, kanti isithume ngani, niyasiyeka man, iSpani nama-Hustlers dahamba khona. Njengoba sibonile sisters, ayenza umsebenzi ube lula nje kuphela, like it's a walk in the park, or should I say, around the wetlands.
Ihlile Meg, kannete re thaba le yena Nokathula, o sebeditse ka thata. Re na le potso e tswang from our Hustler Nhlanhla aka H. Ariena, o batla go ithutela tourism, o batla le tswa re ke di-subject dife tse a ka di etsang, and hape o tla sebetsa kae ha sa qetile. Nhlanhla, ho investa bokamoso ba hao in tourism ke mogopolo o motle, hobane industry ena ka sena sebaka e gola haholo. O lokela hore o bane le English le mathematics for BCom degree. And hape, o ka etsa di-subjects tse ka geography le yona tourism. O ka ithutela tourism management as degree, o ka ithutela as national diploma, hape o ka etsa as certificate ko di-FET colleges. Ha se o qeta he, o ka sebetsa ko di-game farm, o ka sebetsa ko di-resort, o ka sebetsa ko di-hotel, SA Tourism Board le a mang a mafelo. Ma-Hustlers, hopolang hore romela dipotso tsa lona, and hape hopolang go checkela Facebook ya rona kapa web page ya rona ho fumana melaetsa e mengata ka di-career tse leng teng.
Sigijima 500 kilometers bese bathi cut. Liguqula kanjalo-ke uhlelo lethu namhlanje njengoba sithi halala kuNox ozithelele umsebenzi. Ngithi lapha ekhaya uyazi uma ufuna ukuxhumana nathi kumele wenzeni, uthi www.ispani.co.za uzothola-ke umniningwane about le career namanye ama-career amaningi sikuphathele wona. Join us next week yazabe sibheke icareer mhlawumbe wona lapha ekhaya ungayijabulela kakhulu, or come and join us laphana ku Facebook bafethu, click on like and write on our walls, or catch us on the fly laphana ku Twitter ku @iSpani on SABC1, @iSpani on SABC1 bafethu. Ngifuna siringe yazi communicate ngoba siyi community and trend bafethu, as-trending bafethu, and trade skills sincedane bafethu. Injalo lento le into engiyiphusha manje bayibiza ngokuthi #thegrad101 bafethu. Yakule viki ihamba kanje, what doesn't kill you may skill you bafethu. Injalo nawe-ke ungabhala othanda ukuyibhala khona laphana. We just want you to participate bafethu. Sifuna sibe active khona laphana, sikelele izinto ezi-negative. Mina-ke mfana kaMtambo, on that note ngidonsa zonke intambo sengiphuma kanje. Hlale ngikutshela ngithi ungapheli umoya, faka umoya ntwana, and remember, don't look down, look up and stay up.